Welcome back, everyone, to Merch Company. Am I on the right microphone, Frank? Is this
You sound great, bud. You always
okay?
sound great. You're James Montemagno. I believe that's how you pronounce your name. It's only been like 10 years since I've known you, but I believe that's how you say your name.
That's me, and I believe you're Frank Kruger. I believe that's how you also
Mm-hmm.
say your name,
Yeah, plus or minus. I think you're
Kruger,
like Kriega.
Kruger.
What's happening this week? Switch 3 out? My Switch 2 pre-order's just not going through, buddy.
Well, I'll tell you something else that's not going through. Imagine I want to give you a scenario. Okay, this is a
Hmm?
real world scenario, Frank Kruger.
The best kind.
Imagine that you are a restaurant company. You own a restaurant company. Okay. Now, this
I'm,
restaurant
I'm
company.
a restaurateur. Is that
You
is that
are
it? Is
you
that
are you are a restaurateur, correct? Yes, and in fact, you are a franchise, or you're not even a
Ooh.
franchisee. You're a franchisor.
Ah. I
Mhm.
got Big money coming in. Got it.
You got you got at least $10 every month coming your way for that because you own Kruger Burger, and everybody wants to eat at Kruger Burger because you have all sorts of amazing burgers and bottomless fries.
Oof, I don't know how I managed to make my money then, because that sounds like a losing scheme. But theoretical, hypothetical. Okay, Kruger Burger, deep fried hamburgers with infinite fries. Got it.
Doing good. Now, everything's going great for you, right? And you have a pretty good website up and running, krugerburgers.com. And just like, wow, like everyone loves this. And you have, several hundred, maybe 1,000 stores around the US. So, like, you're doing pretty good, Frank. Like, not bad.
I would say if I could sell 1,000 burgers across the U.S. per day, that would be fine. So 1,000 stores, definitely doing well. I don't see any problems in this hypothetical.
So, you're a burger company. You are not necessarily an IT company, but, you have a website. People can, like, go on to krugerburger.com and then they can, see your menu, find locations, and do things like
Uh,
that. And that's
Can,
probably a minimum.
I would say I'm doing better than most restaurant websites then, because I've been to several restaurant websites and you cannot find the menu nor where the restaurant is located. So I think so far my website's killing it.
Now, you did recently add functionality for like pickup or delivery. So, like, that's kind of cool. You know what I mean? But at the same time, like, what's the traffic and what kind of like
Mm.
infrastructure do you think you have or need at this restaurant chain? Like, what are you feeling right now given the specs?
Well, you said 1,000 stores. I don't know if you're exaggerating there, but you better have some kind of IT department, because you don't want the franchisees doing their own websites. That would be horrendous. They should have to fill out a minimal form, and then my IT department, which I hand selected every programmer for. I do have programmers on staff because honestly, it's just too costly to not have programmers on staff. So I would feel like I would either buy like a nice white label solution, where I can customize it to each of my stores, or at this level, I might invest in a programmer team of 5 to 7. I wouldn't want it to get out of hand. Thousands a lot, but they're all kind of
Yeah.
the same website. So 5 to 7 programmers would be ideal, I would say.
Okay. So let's say you didn't even have 1,000. Let's say you bought 495 specifically. Okay.
Oh,
So
wow.
you had to have that. I
Okay.
don't think that changes much. I don't think it changes much.
No,
So
yeah.
you
We
have your
still have that
website.
debate. Do you buy a white label website, which is smart because it's all
Yeah.
debugged and they're handling everything for you, or do you hire a programmer team and then you're herding cats? So
Yeah. Are
it's a choice.
are you deploying WordPress or are you building your own CMS system?
Yeah,
Right.
basically, yeah.
Okay. So what kind of like scale do you need? Like, are we talking you
Mm,
have Kubernetes clusters? You need to scale up to do this. I mean, we're talking
I
these
don't
these
know.
burger places are open for 10 hours a day, spread out across a bunch of you know just US, like
Yeah.
geos.
This is getting harder, man, because I don't run large websites.
Well,
So now you're really pushing me.
the question is how much traffic does this website need to handle, right? We're
Oh,
thinking
right.
500 stores at any given minute. How many people are actually going to that website?
I have to think it's actually a lower number. Like, this isn't your 50,000 per day. I don't think could it be that high? 1,000 people per day
I feel like most
per
people,
restaurant. I just feel like that's a high number. So I feel like we're sub 50,000
because
per day.
you're also pushing the in person because you got that bottomless fries. If you get takeout delivery, you're not really getting that bottomless fries, and you're family friendly. You're all about in person, right? So what are people doing on this website? They're going to the website. Maybe they're buying gift cards or finding locations or looking at the menu. Maybe they're ordering. Maybe, right?
Right. It depends on what relations I've made with Grubhub and all those,
Yeah.
etc. But yeah, I would try to have as much of a static website as I can because I am cheap. That's how I got to be so successful, by the way. People never ask me how I got the 500 restaurants. That's how static websites.
You scale. Okay. So maybe you have some, some app services happening, right? Maybe you got some servers. Maybe you're not even in the cloud. Maybe you're just running your own. Are you running your own infrastructure or do you think you're in the cloud?
Well, no, I did start with a Pentium 1.6 gigahertz running in my closet, but I did realize after the kids kicked it over that I should probably do some cloud hosting. So I switched to cloud a few years ago just for safety mostly.
So you got a little bit of scale potentially if you have your settings
Oh,
correct. But
yeah.
on average, it's not like you're 5xing your customer base every month, right? Your customers are steady. So you
Hmm.
kind of know month over month, year over year, exactly what your traffic's going to be, right?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. I hope
So
to grow, but yeah.
you hope to grow, but you're steady, right? And you can only open so many new stores, right? So maybe you go from
Right.
495 to 500, right? So then what do you think happens when the crack marketing team comes along and they said, you know what we're going to do? It's Burger Month in May. What if we offer a once in a lifetime opportunity for customers to buy a unlimited burger pass for $20? For $20 for a whole month, you get a burger, unlimited burgers, one a day. You get a customer a day, right? This is a $700 value, right? You get a burger meal, bottomless fries for $20. And you're going to put it on sale on the 17th of April at 9 a.m. Mountain Time. So
Okay.
now,
Was this a wise decision? I can't tell yet.
so the question becomes, what do you do, Kruger Burger development team? How do you
Hmm.
prepare for you're not like your Walmart, right?
I
Walmart,
see what you're saying. Okay.
Amazon,
Okay. Okay.
they have their big spike for Black Friday. They can scale up, but they're busy all the time. They got these
Insta
deals going all the
scale,
time,
right. And
right?
it's not worth paying. So your argument is, okay, this is a one-time hot time. I know I'm going to be hot on the servers. Um, yeah, it's tricky, honestly, because on my cheap scale,
Yeah.
I'm doing most everything statically. I maybe have some Azure functions handling my coupon codes. So I think I would rely on some kind of scalable thing along those lines. I don't want to manually scale up my servers. I'd rather
Yeah.
scale up like my quotas. Like I'll
Yeah.
just up my quotas up to whatever $10 or $100,000 a month or something like that, and hopefully the Clued will provide.
We'll provide all the things. Um,
Is that the right answer? What did I do wrong? Am I going to lose all the business? I mean, I already think this 20-hour deal is insane, but am I going to lose more money on IT?
okay. So imagine now
Oh boy.
that here's how you programmed for the day. You decided that you're going to have a countdown clock that's running. And then at 9 o'clock, you tell people with 0 to refresh the page to get the
Oh, I'm
link.
Apple now?
How
This is,
well does telling everybody to refresh this page all at once go
oh
for
my God.
you, Frank
Not
Kruger?
well. Not well. Not well. I mean, the static part's going to handle it just fine, but I mean, literally, my visitor counter is probably going to crash my database server because this is an absurd deal. Everyone who's not a fool will take advantage of it. Remember, everyone, April 17th.
Yeah.
No, it's not going to go well, I would say. I have to put my quota pretty high, I would say, just because I'm going to be hitting table storage. I'm going to hit a lot of function calls. Yeah, I'm going to have to put a high quota.
Now, what if I also told you that you decided to not put this part of the website on its own like microservice and you're just like, you know what? This is just on the main The main server, like it's all on one. It's all on the same. There's no microservices. It's one website. Everything is deployed all at once.
Now, as someone who's run a high traffic website that had abysmal return times, like I'm talking 30, 40 seconds response
Yeah.
times, I'm going to say I'm going to screw this up pretty majorly. I'm pretty sure marketing is going to get upset at my hand selected 5 to 7 programmers.
Now, what if I told you, Frank, that
Oh my goodness.
that you actually don't process your own transactions on your website? And what if I told you that the crack marketing team says, well, we sell gift cards, and we sell gift cards through a third-party company. And that's all they do is they sell gift cards, and they sell gift cards, for you, for Kruger Burger. And what if I told you that, like, they're like, hey, well, they refresh the page and we'll have a button, and that button will then take you to our third-party vendor with a coupon code that has this limited number of unlimited burger deals.
Oh, it's a lottery now? Ooh, is this legal?
That company, no, it's just like you only have so many, right? It's a limited time deal. It's a limited supply. We're not gonna tell people how many there are, but there's a limited. So you gotta get it fast. Now, this third party company, they sell gift cards. And how many gift cards what do you think their traffic is like?
Well, ideally, if they are a service, they're going to be on top of this, right? They're going to plan for these spikes. If that's the nature of your business, you're going to plan, and you're going to have a business plan and some kind of plan. Not just a plan, James. They're going to have a plan.
They're going to
It's going to cost me a lot, but they're going to have a plan.
They're going to have a plan. So the day comes, Frank, and let's just say that every single person in America loves burgers.
I do.
And this is, as you've said, a redonkulous deal. It is a crazy, it doesn't even make any logistical sense.
None.
But awesome for the consumer.
You'll get a lot of customers that month.
Now, what if
oh boy,
this day happens and no one has actually planned to scale up anything, and your partner has apparently not decided to understand how web traffic and the internet works? And what happens, Frank, when not only you tell people to refresh the page at a certain time, but because you've told them it happens at a specific time, minutes leading up to said event just take down all of your servers. And anyone that can get down, that then goes to this third-party link, this little tiny startup that's doing whatever.
Pentium in the closet.
Pentium in the closet. That also goes down. And then your website gives a nice little service unavailable JSON return for about an hour. How do you feel about that?
Well, as the owner of Kruger Burger, I'd probably be very happy that no one's actually cashing in on this obvious money loss deal. And I'd be like, take that, marketing. But I get where you're coming from. It would feel terrible. I would feel like the worst planner in the world. I've used that word a lot already because I am the worst planner in the world. But you should see this coming. You should prepare for it. You should know what a ridiculous deal it is. So, yeah, I would feel terrible. It's never whether the server goes down. It's whether you can get it back up again. That's the hard part. Like you're trying to reboot it and those requests are still coming in. If you have a front end server, TCP queues are just growing. Who knows if you even configured your front end server correctly, your reverse proxy server. So that thing could just be queuing requests. I feel like you kind of hit the... Yeah, that's a bad one because they're going to be hitting it all day. And like just getting that server back up is going to be difficult, let alone like getting it to scale to actually being able to handle that traffic. So at this point, I'd probably just schedule a trip to Costa Rica and tap one of my elite programmers and say, good luck, buddy.
So this is a real world scenario that happened this morning.
Oh boy. Is this Nintendo?
No, it's Red Robin, one of my favorite burger chains.
Yeah, definitely.
I am a shareholder. I will.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute, James. Are you telling me I can get unlimited burgers for $20 right now? And you didn't
You
tell us about this beforehand?
So this morning I wake up and I'm on Slick Deals and I was like, and Heather had sent this to me a few days ago. So it's been like in the news for a while. And I didn't know what time it was, but it was on Slick Deals. I clicked it and I was like, oh, it's in 20 minutes. I'm like, okay, I'll go. So I have it
Mhm.
open, 20-minute countdown. It's like, and then at 20 minutes, the JavaScript refresh and it's like, refresh the page, please. And
Yeah.
I was like, okay. So I like refresh the page and like nothing works. Nothing works. So like for 20 minutes, I'm like, I'm doing other stuff, but like for 20
Yeah,
minutes, I'm
yeah.
refreshing the page, doing this.
Well,
Eventually,
mm,
I get through to a server, Frank. Someone has scaled. They took the slider. They said,
yeah.
move it over.
Quota
However,
1,000,000. Yeah.
nobody contacted Cash Star Deluxe or whoever they use for their gift cards. So I get there and it's like, nah, fam. It is not happening. Not going to
The
happen.
Pentium is taking a nap.
Nope. So I'm like, okay,
Wow,
well, at
Red
least I have
Robin.
Red
That's a
Robin.
big chain. That's a big I
Big
mean, they're not as big as
495.
Kruger Burger, but, you know, they're up
No
there.
one is. So I'm over on the Cash Star Deluxe, whatever website it is. And I'm like, well, I have the URL. This is the URL. So I don't need to go to the Red Robin website. I just need this URL. So that's the interesting part is like, once
Mhm,
people have the
mhm.
URL, no one, then Red Robin can recover, right?
Yeah.
It can
Yeah.
recover because people are on this other one. But now the problem is now everybody's refreshing for an hour on this other thing on the Cash Star or whatever Deluxe, whatever website. It doesn't seem sketchy at all. Um, and what happens is that eventually I make so many refresh requests that they block my IP address.
Well, that's just good business. This deal sounds ridiculous. No,
So I
okay. I mean, that part I actually fully understand because DOS attacks are no joke.
yeah.
I've run a few e-commerce, and the moment you put an e-commerce up, you start getting DOS attacks. It's just the rule one of the internet. DOS attacks happens. So you do always, in general, need very aggressive banning policies, or at least sleep periods. So it would sleep you for maybe 30 minutes or something like that. But I'll tell you what, I have seen websites go down because the IP table it's trying to maintain, it couldn't handle the traffic to that IP table, to that
Oh wow.
database. So I've seen like this cascade poorly. This was a shop I was working at, and so they had a DOS attack, and the DOS mitigation software crashed. And so we were trying to bring
Mm.
up these servers, and
Oh
like we
wow.
couldn't find the root cause, and the root cause was like our own safety precaution. So I do feel like in some ways that is actually smart.
Yeah.
Now, were you manually refreshing, like let's say once per 30 seconds, or are you just wailing on command
No,
there?
no, no. I was once every 30, 60 seconds. What you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
but it's a
Whatever.
lot
But
of
it was
people. Yeah.
yeah.
And
So
we've
I'm
seen this before. We've seen this with WWDC. We've seen this with the App Store. I'm sorry, the Apple Store. Um, this used to be common. I mean, Twitter in the early days, this was very common.
yeah.
Um, boy, oh boy. So okay, so let's get back to James is refreshing. You're hitting the real URL. You're a Hacker Pro programmer, and you found the real URL, and you're hitting refresh on that. Did it ever come back, or
No.
I don't want to jump too far ahead. So they soft banned you, and you're still hitting refresh, or you stop hitting refresh?
I'm still hitting refresh. They unsoft ban me after a while. I try incognito. I try my phone. I do a bunch of other stuff. Now at this point, Frank, it's been 45 minutes. I got to get to work, and
Oh,
I have zero faith that
you're gonna get
the
your
burger.
cheeseburgers.
I believe at this point that the burgers are gone. I did read an article that they put out an Instagram story at like 50 minutes into it saying that they're trying to solve the problems, but then 15 minutes later everything was sold out. So I was like,
Yeah.
okay, maybe whoever got lucky. Right now, this used to happen all the time. Before Amazon bought Woot, they used to do these Woot offs, and
That's
it was
right.
the same thing. They used to have these mystery bags, and people would have alerts and all these things and this API, and then eventually you would crash Woot, and they'd have this queuing system. Now, what you often see is a queuing system like a Ticketmaster and like all these things. There is some standard like mitigation to get people into a queue and to do all these things.
Yeah.
Um, but it's actually a hard problem. So, we're
Yeah.
20 minutes into the story. So the question I want to ask you is like, how do we solve, like, here's the thing with this company, any company, not just Red
Mm,
Robin. Like, I'm
mhm.
just saying is you have this once in a blue moon event.
Yeah.
How do you plan? Do you need to plan? Did they do the right thing? And then also, if you upgrade all of your infrastructure for like this day of event, doesn't it feel like you just wasted a bunch of money because you're never going to use, like, what are you going to put your entire website in like a Kubernetes cluster and then like do like all these crazy scaling and all this other stuff? Like, you're never going to need that maybe for another 10 years ever again. Right?
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think anyone who's run a large website would be in total agreement. No, you don't pay for a fully resourced website all the time. That's insane. I mean, the real pros will watch their actual traffic and downscale in real time. That's the pro move. But there's quite a difference between bringing down servers and bringing up servers. Bringing down servers is cheap. In fact, you make money when you bring down servers. Bringing up servers, you lose money. So it's
Yes,
a real
correct.
balancing act to do all this kind of stuff. I think that's why in the beginning there, I mentioned functions kind of immediately. Because I think overall functions can, by the way, I'm talking about like Azure functions and AWS. Everyone's got these like pay as you go kind of things. I think that you actually pay a bit of a premium when you have the low traffic, but ideally they can auto scale, at least in theory, and your quotas are high enough and all that kind of stuff that they can dynamically scale to large scenarios like this. So in my preparations, I would stick to kind of what I said in the beginning, a mostly static site, everything, all the real processing handled through easily scalable things and ideally real-time scalable. The problem is all that is so easy to say. It's so easy to say I want dynamic scaling, but getting it right is very difficult, especially that bringing down, bringing back up. Um, it's tough. It's tough. It's tough when you can't anticipate it. In the old days, we had slash dot. You would get slash dotted. Your server would be perfectly fine all year, and then someone posts an article of yours, and then your server comes a falling down. And it
Yeah.
was a common event. It got a name, slash dotted. I don't know if do we have a modern term for it. Um, so I think that has been a recurrent problem. It's kind of the problem. Some would say it's a good problem. If you have that much traffic, oh, good for you. You have a
Yeah.
wonderful problem. But at the same time, from the IT manager's perspective, yeah, you have a lot of options. I personally do not like the idea of bringing up a bunch of servers directly. I would try to have, maybe I'd have my own local servers handling the majority, but then I would have a fallback mechanism to some kind of functional interface that does auto scale. And the reason I say that two-tier system is because I think you do pay a little bit of a premium when you're using just functions and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. No, it makes a lot of sense. I think that it's a hard problem. Like, I think if I'm in the shoes of Red Robin, like there's this other part of it which is like all publicity is good publicity, right? So
Yeah.
like guess what happened at about 30 minutes into the event? Oh, there's so much demand for Red Robin burgers. You can't get the burgers. It's the greatest deal. Try to refresh now, right? You know what I mean?
And who knows? This really might have been a pure marketing thing. Maybe there was only 5 of these golden certificates available. They never
Yeah,
actually told you the quantity. So as you say, all publicity is
it's
good
true.
publicity. Next month, they can run this again with 5 more golden certificates because they have
Very
all the
true.
publicity from the first one. I mean, they might even be able to sell 10 of them.
Yeah.
And but this time maybe they can warn that other website to please up your quotas before we do this. So did you read any postmortems? Like, did they not notify that other service that they were going to do this absurd deal or whatever it was?
So that's the interesting part is like technically according to their Instagram story that they're like, we've worked with our vendors, we've done this stuff and
Hmm.
XYZ, but I don't know if it actually did or not. You know what I mean? So I think that at the end of the day, I'm like, okay, maybe you did. Hard to say.
And
So
truly, it is hard to test for because
yeah.
you
Yeah.
can get load testers. In fact, one of the first pieces of software I ever wrote was a load tester. And by that, I mean it made 1,000,000 requests using as many servers as it could find. It would
Totally.
pool servers, it would pool network connections, it would just blast your server in the most obscene ways. And that is very good, rigorous testing. Everyone absolutely should do, but absolutely no one does for a variety of reasons. Number one, that test is expensive. If
Yeah.
you want to really crank tests on your server, you're going to spend 10, 20, up to 100 grand just on bandwidth, just on CPU resources. If you want to see it actually not fall over, like, can I handle 1,000 requests per minute? Probably. Can I handle 10,000, 100,000? Can I handle 1,000,000 requests per minute? The moment you break a few of those barriers, you're paying real dollar bills in order to get that traffic to succeed. You would like to be in the position where you can just throw money at the problem, but a lot of technologies will just start failing somewhere around the
Yeah.
million requests per minute mark. And so, in order to build up an infrastructure that can survive that and actually handle it, that's real money. That's cutting into Kruger Burger profits.
Yeah, I think it's a interesting case study, because if I was some other company, right, that is, like you said, like doing at scale, and like, okay, like actually, like part of this plan is that we're going to like try to stress test and scale up our company and do a bunch of stuff, and like this is our
Mm-hmm.
plan, we're gonna 10x, and like we need to be able to handle the scale, like that investment's there, but it's like it's probably just not there. So when I this morning at like, I think at 8 o'clock Pacific, 9 o'clock Mountain, at 8 o'clock, I was like, went into the office. I was like, guess what? Burger chain like didn't have any IT infrastructure scale up. And Heather was like, is it Red Robin? Because you said 2 minutes ago that you're going to go see if you can buy the Burger Pass. And I was like, yep, you are correct. It was Red Robin. And I said, and then I went to her and I was like, and it makes complete sense. Like everything about
Yeah.
it. Like
Yeah.
when I was there and I was seeing the countdown, I was like, this isn't going to go. Like as it was happening, when I was there like 20 minutes
Mm-hmm.
early, I was like, oh, this isn't going to go good. Right. Like in my mind. Now, the thing I didn't do, and if I roll this back, what I should have done is they are like, hey, refresh this page. So what I'm curious about to get the updated link is like if in the JavaScript in the page, if there was
Oh
just like a
boy.
date time check that would have like shown me the actual URL that I needed to go to. I didn't verify that,
Right.
but
Sure.
I should have, right? You know what I mean? And
Well, I
that would have
bet you
been
some
funny.
people did. I
I think
mean,
some people
there are
did.
a
Yeah.
lot of creative programmers out there who want cheap hamburgers. I have no doubt someone was
Me.
inspecting all the JavaScript.
Yeah.
Oh, but boy, it's hard. So, like you mentioned, a queuing system. Even that's not perfect. Like I mentioned, a DOS prevention system we had fall over on us once. Can you like a queuing system? Even though it's easy, it's like okay, I'll record your IP address, maybe put in your email address. I don't know, something like that, and we'll
Yeah.
put you in. You are number 9,000 in line, and then you have a little JavaScript ticker. You're really not even talking to the server anymore. It just talks to the server once per minute. As long as you keep that website live, you're in the queue. We'll get to you when we can. Oh, sorry, we're out of burgers. Even that system can fall down. And that is like the baby's first website, that's one
Yeah.
insert into a table and a bunch of reads from a table. It's so trivial. But just getting that to stand up through a lot of traffic, because you have your reverse proxy, you have your web server, you have your static server, and then you have your database server. Any one of
Mm-hmm.
those can fail, and
Yeah.
probably all of them will fail.
Yeah. That's true.
So how do you feel? How do you feel? Like, do you feel like this is right? This is what they get for offering such an awesome deal? Because that almost sounded like where you were coming from. Or is it just more like, how do we solve this problem? Will we ever have a server that can handle infinite requests?
Well, I think that um I think it is okay. Like I think that in this context, I feel pretty okay about everything that sort of happened in a
Hmm.
way.
Your shadow ban included? I didn't even say shadow ban. That was a proper ban.
Yeah, I think that that was a little bit funky. I mean, obviously there are things that, you know, can be done
Hmm.
uh to solve this, because it's been solved before, right? I mean, but
Sure.
I'm not positive if like they needed to do anything. You know what I mean? Like I don't
Yeah.
well, it's a fun story to kind of like tell, I think in general, like, hey, haha, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I'm not actually sure if they should have done anything different.
Yeah.
Only because to our points, like it is a solvable problem, like Ticketmaster, these other
Hmm.
websites, Amazon, Walmart for all these, they've done it, right? They've all
Yeah.
figured it out.
You don't get to fail whale
But
that often.
yeah, yeah,
There's a side story here too. A very similar story happened, but in a more positive way. I know we were told not to watch the stock market or the bonds markets. We're not, as Americans, we're not supposed to look at these things right now.
yeah,
But a funny thing happened. There was a lot of high volume trading on a few certain days in the past weeks because the market was having some fun. It was going up, it was going down, mostly down, and then back up. And I was watching some report from someone, I forget exactly who it was, and their comment made me laugh. And their comment was, well, this was honestly a good test of our trading network because we've
yeah,
handled more volume than we've basically ever handled, or at least that we've handled in the last 20 years or something like that. And the guy was so proud that his little stock market thing could handle that kind of volume of trading. And I'm like, boy, that is finding the sunny side of the
yeah.
situation. So
It's
it's kind of
true.
funny, like, so obviously some people do prepare for it. And I guess if you're running a stock exchange, it's probably a good idea to plan for crazy market activity.
Yeah,
Do we hold Red Robin up to the standard of the NASDAQ? I don't know. Maybe in the future we should, but the people who have the money definitely know to spend it on certain things.
yeah,
For them, the trades are where it's all at. They have to handle that volume because that's their business. In the case
yeah.
of Red Robin, this coupon does not sound like their business. Their business
No,
are people bringing their kids for birthday parties so everyone can clap together and get cheap
exactly.
cheeseburgers.
Yeah. I think that is correct. I think that here's a fascinating part too is even if Red Robin did everything correct, they set up a microsite, they did this, the queuing, did everything
Hmm.
because they were relying on this other third party company. It still,
That's tough.
you know, would have had this issue, at the end of the day. So I think that's the other part too.
Yeah, but don't you? Yeah, I'm playing devil's advocate because I don't really know the details. I mean, don't you use a third party so you don't have to think about these problems? You would
One would
you
think.
hope somewhere in that contract there's a SLA that says we will keep it up during coupon month. Just a little exception in there.
Yeah,
I don't
one
want to
would
drag
think.
the other company because obviously we just said
Yeah,
these are hard problems. But I think as the owner of Kruger Burger, you know, I have these services because I don't want to deal with that problem. I know it's a hard
exactly.
problem. I don't want to have the
Yeah,
staff on hand to deal with it.
yeah. There you go. There's the Red Robin fiasco.
I love
Unlimited
that. That was
burger
fun.
dilemma. Yeah.
A post mortem about, oh, I don't know. Do you have the same sinking feeling in your stomach as I do? I'm like, yeah, it's great to be successful, but man, it stinks to not give out those golden coupons.
And this is why I only make applications that display a static number on the middle of the screen. I don't have to worry about this, Frank. Problem solved.
You know what? Me too. I very few of my apps talk to servers for one very good reason. I know how bad I am at running servers. That's why.
Yeah,
Know your
exactly.
limitations. Know
Yeah,
your limitations, Red Robin. Come on.
yeah. Uh, all right. Well, Frank, I think that's going to do it for this week's podcast. How do you feel about that?
Did we underperform? I think we overperformed. We'll have to find out later. We'll know in a month.
We will know in a month. Let us know what you think of this podcast. You can go to mergeconflict.fm. You can write into us. You can hit us up on the YouTubes where we post these videos. That's a great place to go. We have 460 coming up soon, so feel free to leave a chat, questions that you may have. We do lightning topics there. So anything you want us to cover else, we're just going to be talking burgers. But that's going to do it for this week's Emerge Conflict. So until next week, I'm James Montemagno.
And I'm Frank Kruger. Thanks for watching and listening.
Peace.